Errol Collins.
How's TV? How's TV, buddy?
Hey, I miss you. I'm so sorry. It's been good, but it's exhausting, and I have not yet really adjusted to this schedule. So the time that I have to check in and be there is just doesn't work with when we normally talk. But we'll see. We could maybe do something if we wanted to go a few minutes earlier or something. We could kind of get back on.
Absolutely. Well, I keep waiting for Good Morning America to tell me that you're going to be on there every week. So
yeah, never going to happen.
Well, we're here to talk about Oscars today, and I'm going to ask you right off the bat: did they get it right last night?
They did. Arrow, we talk about this a lot, and I know how you feel, and you know how I feel, and we're old buddies, but it was very reactionary. I was kind of bracing myself for a very boring show. Ooh. I think there was a lot on the line from last year's slap heard around the world and the debacle that is Will Smith, and even Chris Rock's recent refusal to accept apologies and his Netflix special and the rest of it. So the Academy was just reacting to that and had to return to normalcy and do something that was simple and fun, but focused and devoid of any kind of drama. So They were well paced, they were smooth, and I honestly think it was the best produced Oscars show in a long time.
Yeah, I didn't feel rushed. I really didn't. Even though it did go 33, 34 minutes over, the normal time. I still didn't feel rushed, and I didn't feel like that I was losing sleep on the only day of the year where I was losing sleep anyway because of this daylight savings time.
If they ever do the Oscars on daylight savings weekend again, I am going to write a letter to the North Pole or to Mother Nature. I don't know where, but it's just very that this is difficult. But at the same time, I agree with you. And for those of us, and you and I are right there. We're both the same kind of movie buffs. Yeah. And so for us, it's our night. And I was perfectly fine. It could have gone as long as it wanted to. I want to hear all of those acceptance speeches. That's where I get really emotional. And that's where you start feeling it and you get inspired and excited. And those are my favorite moments. And also to take in all the fashion and see how it looks on the stage compared to the red carpet and how it moves. And you see sometimes, and I also love if you notice some of the stars get a little nervous when they're up there presenting.
The human side. I love that when they do that.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, you just can see it because we don't often see them a little shaky. It's just very slight because they're pros and amazing. But it's just really fun to see that because Lord knows if I were on that stage, I would probably vomit into the microphone. You know what I mean? I don't know how they do it, but it's incredible.
Well, there were a lot of sounds that were heard around the world, and I think one of the first sounds that I felt like, and I think it was sounds from the fans when Jamie Lee Curtis finally was given a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because in that category, it was really between her and Angela Bassett, and I think that we often see them award careers, not just the roles that they're currently nominated for. And honestly, if you compare Angela Bassett's career and resume and her, her range as a performer compared to Jamie Lee, Angela, I think, is the winner. And that's probably why we saw her so surprised not to win last night. And I really thought that the Academy was going to go in the direction of Angela Bassett. But at the same time, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I actually voted for her at the Critics' Choice Awards. And, so I was thrilled to see Jamie Lee win. I'm a big fan of hers. I'm a big fan of Angela's too. But it just was, and you'd be happy with anyone who wins. They all deserve it. I was talking to someone, and agree or disagree with me about this. I was talking to someone just yesterday who was saying that how do you really compare it? These categories and the performances in comparison are so subjective. It's not like all these same actors are playing the same role and we're actually judging who performed that role the best. They're different genres. They're different, characters. So it really is so subjective. And that's why it's so true. It's an honor just to be nominated. The reason you really want to win, and the difference is it increases your paycheck, it increases your visibility, it changes your career, it can really make a difference. So it's important to you if you're nominated to win. But I think the acknowledgement of the nomination is certainly noteworthy as well.
I got to tell you the reason why I really went on the side of Jamie Lee Curtis, because I sat there through the movie. And then I looked at my wife and I said, where was Jamie Lee Curtis in all of this? And so I turned to the 15-year-old kid that was sitting next to me and he says, it was It was the one lady, and he had to explain to me that I totally did not even know that was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, there was, when you look at like Nicole Kidman and her prosthetic nose that she won Best Actress for in The Hours, or Charlize Theron in Monster, when she went, what she looked like in that win, or even Brendan Fraser and the lengths he went to for The Whale. Jamie Lee Curtis here and Everything Everywhere. When you go so against type, so non-glam, and let's say, you know, red carpet challenged in those looks because they're the opposite of camera ready, that's a bold choice. And to be able to really connect to character through all of that discordance in makeup and dressing, let's say, decoration, let's say, and the performance to still break through, and you're not relying on the costume that you're wearing and the makeup that you're wearing to do the performance, as we saw with Brendan Fraser, you know, in The Whale. Like, when you can break through all of that and still give a performance that touches you so deeply, that's amazing. And yeah, Jamie Lee definitely did it.
Well, I want to know, I would love to sit down with Brendan Fraser and sit, because he talked about that 30-year silence period. And I wonder how much he pulled from that silence to bring this character in The Whale to life. Because they're oh my God, there was some emotion in that character, and it had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing guy. I interviewed him many years ago, and he was so gracious and patient and cool. It was one of my first celebrity interviews, and I was horrible in the interview, but he was very cool. And I was so happy to see him win, and I voted for him also at Critics' Choice, and I was glad. I mean, Austin Butler was the other one that was a front runner in the category. Yeah, and amazing as Elvis, but he's young and he's got, you know, a long way to go. I also think that he alienated some voters with his shtick of not knocking off his Elvis accent all campaign season. I wonder, like, is he going to sound like, if he ever gets the chance to be in a movie again, is he going to be like, sound just like Elvis? Is that all he can do?
He was on with Mark Maron, and he explained that. And you know, being down here in the South, I got to be honest with you, Ryan, when you start messing around with that Southern accent, it sticks. And it's and I've had to struggle with that being from Montana, where it's very easy for me to go into that Southern accent. And people go, oh, so you're from the South, huh? The hell I am. I'm from Montana.
So you really think he can't help it?
I think that he was so tuned in to the way that Elvis was speaking, and he was sharing this with Mark Maron, and that once you get into that Southern drawl, it's so easy to slip into that Southern drawl, because when it's hot down here in the South, oh my God, bless your heart.
Okay, and that's interesting. No, and I love hearing this, because I would love to analyze it. And like, it's one thing to speak with a Southern drawl, but he still sounded like he had that Elvis version of, like, you know, that too cool, like he was just cool, like there was no enthusiasm in his, like he didn't want to get, I don't know what I want from him. I might be unfair to him, but like we'll see. He kind of see him work at what he does next.
He kind of reminded me of the Johnny Depp era, where Johnny would just mumble his way through questions and things like that, and totally. even Robert De Niro won't give you a full answer. They kind of mumble their way.
Interesting. I guess I maybe not have noticed it as much with Robert De Niro, but certainly know what you mean with Johnny Depp, and that's very funny. But yeah, I definitely want to see what Austin does next, and if he reminds us of Elvis or not.
Harrison Ford making a statement about theaters being theaters. You and I go to the movie theaters. We live for that moment to be in that chair with that big screen, and that really brought chills to me.
Absolutely. I could not love that man more. And I cannot wait to see the new Indiana Jones that's coming out in a few months. And I also love, did you notice when he announced Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Ke Huy Quan got up there and gave him the biggest hug and was so excited? Yeah. I mean, that's Dr. Jones, you know. It was just really, really fun. And that moment in of itself was everything, you know. So that was just delightful to see, and you saw Harrison's face really light up, and they cut to Spielberg, who made it all happen. So there was a lot of magic in the room last night.
Oh, and even the Daniels giving credit to those that inspired them. They are there because they are the next generation.
They are. And I think, too, one of the Daniels, you know, speaking about how he didn't even consider himself a storyteller.
Oh, my God.
And I think that's something that can be inspiring to all of us, that if there's a part of you or a side to you that you don't necessarily claim, we may all have skills or power or abilities that we don't name. I'll never forget, I took a class in college that was it was marketed for teachers, but it filled some kind of credit that I needed. And it was about fostering creativity in others, in this case, teachers for helping students. But there was that notion of some people, like maybe, accountants might not think they're very creative people. But if you can get people to just articulate out loud and say the term, I am creative, to own it, innately you become more so. And I think that's very powerful. So if there's anything out there that somebody wants to be and you think that you're not, say that you are. It might make all the difference. It's also called manifestation.
Well, you speak the truth on that, because I mean, I'm sure you can probably sit there and identify that moment where you called yourself an artist, because I was in the hallways at 107.9 back in the latter part of the 1990s, where I was trying to explain why I was wearing weird tennis shoes, why I had paint in my hair, and why I was religious. Everybody thought I was weird because I'm an artist. And once I said that to myself, you are an artist, everything just, I walked forward. It was a whole new different day.
It's so true. Last year I did that musical, The Sound of Music, and it was my first time doing a show on stage in 30 years, because it was a big part of my life growing up. And I refused, because I'm a critic and I review live theater and movies and TV, I refuse to say I'm an actor. I refuse to say I'm a performer. But once my reviews came in and they were all really good, I was like, I'm an actor. Yeah, I'm an actor now too. I can be that also. I was just so terrified of the judger being judged, but it all worked out. So yeah.
One of the things that we've fallen in love with movies on is, first of all, you and I have talked about this binge watching thing for a while, but in my heart, I feel like it's starting to cool off just a bit. From your point of direction, what are you feeling on that edge?
I don't know, because, since it was in the pandemic that I had to pivot with all the shakeup with movies, that I had to start reviewing television as well. And, when we review, you cover a lot of these, you go to advanced screenings once in a while, as do I. And you usually see a movie 1, maybe 2 weeks before it opens. With television, when I'm reviewing that, I'll receive an entire series, whether it's going to be released all at once, like on Netflix, or whether it's going to be released episodes weekly, like on HBO or other platforms. I'll receive an entire season, sometimes 3 months before it comes to the public. And we are expected to watch a minimum of 3 episodes before we review a television series. And when a show is good, as is in the case of an upcoming series, I watched all 10 and binged pretty quickly, because it's so good. I just kind of still tear through. So I'm still binging quite a bit. It's not very healthy, I think, because I'm, you got to fit in, hopefully, some kind of exercise and sleep and all the rest of it in your life. But I'm still binging quite a bit. I do want to see people return to the theater, though. And I think that with Avatar and Top Gun Maverick, and in some ways even Everything Everywhere All at Once, got people back to the theater a little bit. And I'm hoping it expands more the appetite for what we saw. And by the way, I loved the trailer for The Little Mermaid. I loved that within it, Melissa McCarthy, my biggest fear with that film was that she was going to sound like Melissa McCarthy, right. But I feel like she really sounded like I heard Ursula, and that's very exciting to me. And so, but I didn't like that they actually put it in the telecast. That was very Disney-owned ABC network during the award show, not having to pay to advertise. We're just going to put it in the show. So that was a little annoying to me, but I was still thrilled to see it.
One of the things that I didn't take note of last night, and I was kind of shocked by it, and maybe somehow, some way I may have missed it, but being on Disney, I saw nothing about the 100-year anniversary, because on my side of it, I'm getting all these interviews with Disney people, but I expected more presence on TV last night about celebrating those 100 years.
Yeah, they had a big Warner Brothers thing that's also 100, so that is surprising.
Yeah. Wicked. You're waiting for that, and I know you want to just put in your ballot right now without even seeing the movie.
Oh, yeah. And also, Michelle Yeoh, she's in it. And so
my God.
For her to, for now, when the trailer comes out for Wicked, whenever that's going to be, the first film comes out, 2024, right? December, Christmas 2024. And so that's Wicked Part 1 and Part 2 the following year. But now it will be Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh next to Oscar nominee Cynthia Erivo. And then we've got, Ariana Grande and Jeff Goldblum and Jonathan Bailey. And it's going to be, I cannot wait. I hope it gets tons of nominations. Everything that I'm hearing about it is magnificent. I have some friends that have been to the set already. and have heard some really great things. And then also John Chu, who's directing, who did In the Heights and Crazy Rich Asians, is so the man to be doing it, and is so excited. And I think it's going to take us to an Oz that we've never seen before. And that even includes Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful, which Sam Raimi did, and which was gloriously colorful and 3D and the rest of it. So I still think we're going to see another version that I'm probably going to want to live in, let's be honest.
One of the things that people are always talking about when it comes to the Oscars, that red carpet. And I think that probably one of the best moments, I don't know if you saw it or not, was Lady Gaga stopping for a moment to help the gentleman, the photographer that fell.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that, you look at how gracious she was with Liza Minnelli on last year's telecast, and then also her bravery. I mean, Arrow, no makeup and way too close. Like those close-ups, like it was. I get the concept of a close-up. That was extreme close-up, right? Mm-hmm. But also very personal, and she's got a great voice, and that was a great song. And I'm surprised. I really thought Rihanna or Gaga would win last night. Mm-hmm. I was shocked. I loved the dancing, but that RRR song, I was like, I'm not going to put that on my playlist.
Right.
I'm just being honest.
But at the same time, though, it is a go-to to feel good, and to me, I can listen to it without having to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to me, I was more into the visual than the song itself. But I mean, I guess I'm not as much of a music person as I am a show tune person or a movie person. So I'm probably the worst judge for that category.
Well, since we're on music, Lenny Kravitz last night. Oh my God, release that song. Let me have it.
Oh God, he's so great. And yeah, I mean, that is a highlight. And, if you notice, sometimes they don't have applause at the end of the In Memoriam. It's just silent and it goes to commercial break. Mm-hmm. But people could not contain themselves last night, and they applauded for his performance in addition to all of those we were remembering.
Did we really need to hear the little joke about Robert Blake in the very beginning?
I love what Jimmy Kimmel did. I don't want to fault him for anything. Certainly that's a timing issue. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Did it offend you?
Did not offend me, but I actually sat there, and maybe it's because of my age and because I'm a radio person. How many people knew what the hell he was talking about?
That's true. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What shocked you the most? Was there anything, or did you just kind of go for the ride?
Yeah, I don't think that there was anything really shocking. I mean, I think, well, this is something. I think that not only was it the best produced show in many years, you remember, Arrow, they tried so hard over years to bring fun or get viewership or to hippify the Oscars by having selfies or fast food deliveries or, all the shtick that they would do in the show. And instead of that, they just had a really beautifully produced show, and it was smooth. And I liked that. And I also really loved the fashion. It was the first year where my best dress list is so long. I usually have 1 or 3 names, but I feel like I have 17 this year. Like everyone looked so good. And then there were also some very clear worst dresses like Elizabeth Banks, Florence Pugh, and Rooney Mara.
That when you say Florence Pugh, first of all, she's my go-to girl. I love her like you would not believe.
She's amazing.
And she's amazing. Got that new movie coming out with Zach Braff, and I cannot wait to see it. And the thing is that, I mean, there's just something about her, and I was wondering why she made such a statement like that last night. Is it to create talk because the movie is coming out?
I don't know. She was wearing Valentino, and I actually liked the shorts and I liked the concept, but just in comparison to what everyone else, I mean, you're right. She can do no wrong. And the same with Elizabeth Banks or Rooney Mara. These are amazing women and amazingly talented, multi-talented people. But I just thought in comparison, there were some of the most iconic looks when you look at the roses on Halle Berry and on Nicole Kidman, and then you see the simplicity of Emily Blunt or even Michelle Yeoh, who looked royal last night. Jennifer Connelly's very powerful palette, Janelle Monáe. Just these women were ethereal and goddesses of a level that just all collectively I was getting, you get goosebumps when you hear a song or you're moved by a story or something else. But I was visually just looking at some of these styles and getting goosebumps.
Ryan J Reviews, that's the place to go, man. We got to get together again soon. We'll figure it out. I want your television career to just take off, man. I want you to be on global TV.
You're very sweet. Thank you so much. I miss you though, and yeah, I'll reach out and we'll figure something out.
All right, buddy. You know I love you.
You too. Love you back.